All right, everybody, we should be live and jiving. It is the end of the month, which means it is time for the QA. My name is Dave Tim. I will be your host for about the next hour or so on the Guns and Tactics podcast. Oh, and there's the joys of technology again. Thank you guys very much for joining and spending a few minutes of your day with me. Actually, probably more than a few minutes today as we do the last QA of the year. This will be our last one of 2023, and honestly, this is one of the highlights of each month because I like to connect with you guys, and I know it's not the most viewed, but it is one of the most fun things I get to do and just kind of connect with people and see how people are doing. So I love it. Love you guys for checking in. Definitely appreciate it. And we'll get into some comments here in just a second. Looks like I'm getting good feedback. We're here. Audio looks good. And we should be live in a couple of locations. For those of you guys that are new or not able to catch this live, you can always send your emails to, your questions to the email address shown on the screen, or here it is out loud for if you're listening, theqa@gunsandtactics.com. That is theqa@gunsandtactics.com. And at the end of the month, while we do this live, you can certainly email your questions, and we will answer them on the show as well. So that is the QA. What we do is we answer your questions. We talk about what's going on with products, with gear, new stuff, trends, news, whatever. We just kind of talk about all sorts of stuff for about an hour, give or take, live. And here we go. So as far as a beverage check, Dustin, I'm just drinking coffee with some cream. I actually kind of am getting over a cold. So if my voice sounds a little weird, or if I have to like mute the mic and take care of stuff like the joys, maybe I should have had some pre-rolled commercials and then I could like take a quick break, but I didn't think about that ahead of time. So yeah, just coffee, not even anything good in it. Not even coffee with a kick. I wish it had a little kick, but it is what it is. So anyways, it is what it is. All right, the Rainier crew is here. When are we getting together for lunch in 24? I don't know. I do need to make a trip down to Wichita pretty soon here. And yes, I know it's Wichita. Inside joke if you're watching, who you are, Wichita. But yeah, I'd like to come back down. We can go to Meddy's, get some good of that garlic paste. As far as other ways, if you guys want to support the channel, the best way is through our Patreon. I do have to give a huge shout out to Kevin, who actually I forgot to update the slide. Kevin updated his support as kind of a holiday bonus that he actually went with our Benjamin level. So huge shout out to Kevin. Appreciate his support. Without supporters like him, it definitely helps pay for hosting the podcast and all that kind of stuff. So appreciate that. Kevin is the top supporter, lifetime contributor. And then we also have our 10 spotters on there as well. If you want to support the channel, you can check us out on Patreon, search for Guns and Tactics. Any little bit helps. And as that grows, we will do more, maybe have exclusive QAs and all that kind of stuff. So that's what we're at today. So I'll keep checking in with comments as we get them. We'll answer your questions. As far as what's going on in the news, do definitely have to give a huge condolences for Glock, the Glock family. Gaston Glock passed away. He was in his 90s. Arguably one of the most innovative engineers of the industry. Now, whatever opinion your is of Glock pistols, I think it's pretty hard to argue the influence that he has had on the firearms industry, not only for just the actual hard gear, the product, the Glock pistol, which I actually have a Gen 1 Glock pistol that was imported in 86. So it's one of the early ones. And where our industry is today. Now, did he do the first polymer? No. Was it the first striker? No. But did he look at it from a different approach, able to come away with a military grade, combat proven pistol that would arguably become one of the most popular pistol platforms in the world and at a very economic price? I mean, it is crazy the amount of innovation and simplicity that Glock has done. I'm a big fan of Glock pistols. And here's what's great about them. They're a Glock. Like the Gen 1 through the Gen 5, you recognize it immediately. You know what it is. The great part about it is it's Glock. What's holding it back? Well, it's also a Glock, right? But as far as innovation and improvements, I mean, it's hard to argue the influence. And look at how many guns are definitely influenced by Glock that came out after, and it's really kind of amazing to see what he was able to do with a vision. So, uh, huge condolences. That probably sounded weird. Huge condolences. That doesn't sound right. We would like to offer our condolences for the Glock family, all of the employees. It's obviously a huge loss to his family, friends, and loved ones who were on his inner circle, but as well as their company will go on. They have great leaders there. They have great people there. But anytime anytime you have a death, it's always a sad time. So our condolences and thoughts are with the Glock family, and we really appreciate the innovation, support, and passion that Gaston Glock brought to the firearms industry. So he will definitely never, ever be forgotten. So here's to Glock. Raise your glasses, everybody. One for Gaston. All right. That being said, Kevin sent a lot of emails, and since he's my number one patron supporter, I do want to make sure I try to get to as many as I can. And I did get another comment on Instagram, too, that I was going to try to check in with. If I could only pick one AR. I mean, seriously, who wants to only pick one? Dustin and I were on a road trip a couple of months ago, and we were trying to pick five, honestly. Like if we had to pick 5 ARs, and it was a good debate. Like we had at least a Sprecher or two over this topic, and we were trying to figure out like, okay, what are the categories? Like what's your do-all? What's your long range? What's your short range? Whatever. And if we had to narrow it down to just 5 ARs, and that was tough. So picking just one, I don't know, maybe it'll be a little easier. I'll think about it here and we'll talk about it. Okay. Let's see. As far as training facilities, you sent a picture of a training facility. Okay, I think this is one of our first questions. Actually, no, I think we covered that because last year's QA was late, wasn't it? So let me see when we actually did that. Maybe someone can leave in the comments what the date of the last QA was so I can get through these emails because I honestly, I don't remember. Like, that's the joys of getting older. Okay, Kevin, I think this is one of the first ones of the December one, so I'm not quite certain, but we'll start here because I think this is where we left off. What are your thoughts on vertical foregrips on AR for civilian or LE? In Illinois, AR pistols are super popular, so VFGs aren't allowed, obviously. You can't have any NFA items in Illinois? I didn't know that. I thought you could... that sucks. I didn't know you could not have that. But why? So the reality is for a vertical foregrip, why I like it is it just allows me to extend my handgun grip. So if I have my handgun grip, all I'm doing is I'm separating it, and now I can use that vertical foregrip as basically a really large hand stop versus having to really kind of rotate and tweak my hand forward, which is not that big of a deal either. So there's a lot of really good shooters out there that don't need a vertical foregrip. No problem with that whatsoever. Why I also like a vertical foregrip, number one, it's just a little bit more comfortable for me. I kind of treat it as, again, I don't like the big ones. My favorite is the Bravo company. Rainier has a new one coming out that I think will be pretty cool. That's angled and it's aluminum. It should be pretty stout. Looking forward to checking that out soon. But I like it to have a slight angle so I can basically extend that grip and then I can grab the front. Now, what else I like about it is in the event of a weapon retention type situation when I was working the road, it gave me another leverage point. So if I potentially did have to fight with somebody when we did force on force or use of force scenarios with long gun retention, sometimes it was easier to have another leverage point with that vertical foregrip. Additionally, if I wanted to use it, I can use it as a barricade stop or as a barricade support. I've been in different matches and stuff like that where I've used different objects like that, and I could easily use the vertical foregrip for such a support device. Same thing we see in precision rifle. There's all sorts of little barricade stops and support items and whatever, and we can all use those just the same. But for me, it's just an ergonomic thing. I just think it's comfortable, so that's why I like it. Does anyone outside of law enforcement in Chicagoland do the counter supination grip? I actually had to Google what that was to kind of get some context of it. And I have not seen, man, if you have some people that are still shooting that way, I'd love to see it. Basically, instead of shooting like this, you kind of shoot like this. And I haven't seen it. So in any of the classes I've been to, it's never been taught in any of the techniques. The only time I've seen something similar to that is when you're shooting off of a barricade and then you could come over the top and support it and like really drive and wedge that into a barricade. That's actually kind of a precision rifle technique. But as far as a general thing, now I get it. Maybe you don't have the grip strength, whatever. I don't know. I'd have to do some more research, but even the smaller statured people, small statured females, males, whatever, that I've had come through, I haven't had that issue. And in some ways, the vertical grip was actually even a little bit better since they're able to just kind of separate those grips there. So, all right. So it was on the 8th. Thank you, Ike. I think that was you. Yeah. So we might have already answered that one in the last one. So let me skip forward to through the 8th. So this one would have been from Art. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and it was. We were out in Southern California, so a lot of folks advocate variety of platforms and calibers for home defense, but I believe my 1301 Tactical best meets my particular needs. Question I have is in regards to which buckshot would you recommend? I've heard of double aught basically being 9mm and can suffer the same over penetration. Slugs are a no-go, and birdshot is completely ineffective. 100% agree. Any personal recommendations? Also, I understand whatever I get, need a pattern to confirm. So yes, as far as buckshot out of a shotgun, I still absolutely love Federal Flight Control double-aught buck. What I like about it is it does not spread as much as some of the other old LE or just general tactical defense buckshot. And I would really love to know why they call it buckshot, because I don't know anybody that shoots bucks with it, although you probably could up close. Art, I'm actually answering your question right now, so good point to jump in the conversation. But the Federal Flight Control buckshot. Now, you can get the reduced recoil stuff, which basically just means it has less powder. Now, is overpenetration an issue? Yes, it certainly could be, right? You have 9, and I think they're closer to like 32 caliber, but you have 9.32 caliber bullets traveling out of the bore in, I don't want to say uncontrolled, but they're definitely not as controlled as, say, a bullet going down a rifled barrel, which is part of the shotgun's effectiveness, right? But what's nice about the flight control is it keeps a very tight pattern out to 25 yards. And at 10 yards, like it's really, really tight. So you still have to aim, okay? So that would help, number one, could be a factor of reducing overpenetration because your accuracy and you're not going to have stray pellets going off, which is an issue. And there's been a number of law enforcement officer-involved shootings. Now, granted, these took place some time ago because the shotgun has really kind of stepped out of law enforcement. But there were times where they had an officer-involved shooting with the buckshot and they would hit the subject, but then they would have stray pellets that would hit either persons or things in the background that really kind of caused, we're like, hey, maybe we should be a little bit more aware of what is beyond our backdrop, right? But in stress, it's always kind of tough to do. So I would go with the Federal Flight Control. That's what I would recommend. And if you're looking for a shotgun for home defense, and then there is studies on as far as penetration. Will it go through sheetrock and siding? Yep, absolutely it will. More so than a hollow point 9mm. Certain studies have said that, yes. So obviously a slug is going to go even more, or a rifle. However, what's crazy is that there have actually been studies where they've shown that the 223 actually goes through less of those construction barriers than other projectiles. So in some cases, it might even be safer to use a 223 rifle, which is kind of crazy to think about. But that might be another topic that I could bring a ballistics expert in and talk about. Maybe even kind of see if we can set up some weird kind of science tests like they did on Mythbusters type thing. Actually, there might even be a Mythbusters episode about that. All right, let's see here. This one's from Kevin. Industry trick for Loctite is the mini ductor, which is basically looking to, use heat to loosen that. Yes, I agree. Thermal deactivation works well. We also use a pneumatic hammer, and then you offered to send me a pneumatic hammer, which unfortunately I don't have a use for since I sold my air compressor. But yeah, we got some good stuff there. Okay. An armorer ran a drill bit through a cam pinhole on the bolt. Why would they do that? Why? I don't understand. Why would they take I don't understand why they would do that, man. Like any armorer that is trained to take a drill or a Dremel to anything, I'd be really cautious of. So I'm not sure what the heck happened there. The NRA Basic Pistol Instructor course has a skills test where one tested skill is decocking a hammer from a single action. Why? A single action should never be decocked. I've never been in any class where they've talked about decocking a single action, because you would never decock it. You would unload it, clear it. You could drop the hammer on an unloaded gun. That's a common admin procedure at like matches and stuff like that. But you would never carry a single action gun with the hammer down. So I'm not, and I don't know. I went through an NRA class a long time ago, and they never talked about decocking type stuff. Now with a double action, single action, there was a decocker, like on the Beretta 92s or Sig 226s, stuff like that. But they never, we never did any decocking on single action guns like 1911s and stuff like that. So I don't know. Can you make a video on decocking a pistol without a decocking lever? Yeah, maybe. We could certainly look. You're right. I can't do it live, but yeah, we can look into that. How would you show the non-protrusion of a firing pin with the firing pin block or transfer bar in the non-firing pin position? I don't know if you really could show it unless you had some sort of a prop or something like that. And then let's see. Trying to get through all the questions here. Okay. When it comes to hearing protection, can you do one of those cool videos at different price points? Yes, I would love to do a hearing protection one. Same thing with the eye doctor. I definitely need to do some of that too. One more question from Kevin, then we'll check in with the comments. Are there some good ways for instructors to differently work with students that are new to a skill and those students that have already mastered the skills without demotivating or punishing the top students? Yes. So I talk about this in my instructor classes of having scaled targets as one example. A really great instructor that I learned a lot from, his name was Tony. One of the things he taught me way back in the day was the 3 ways to challenge a student or a shooter is increase the distance, reduce the target size, or decrease the time, right? Those are 3 common ways. Now, there's other ways. We can add movement, we can add decision-making, like all sorts of stuff. But 3 common ways are those 3 factors. So with that, with those 3 challenges, we look at what we might have to challenge our students and how, if we are in a class with shooters of different level, could we assign individual times? Could we assign individual target sizes? Or if possible, could we assign individual distances? And on some ranges, we can do all of those things, and therefore you can challenge people appropriately. So that's how I do it. Now, there have been numerous times when I've been doing like LE classes or whatever, where I have top shooters and they're clearly bored with the drill because it's a low common denominator drill. But I can challenge them and say, hey, now here's what I want you to do. I want you to do this and this in this reduced period of time, and we can still challenge people that way. So definitely some good things that we can do there. All right, let's check in with comments here quick. And let me switch back screens. Before I do that, I'm going to mute myself for a quick second here because, like I said, I'm getting over a cold, so I apologize. The joys of being sick. The joys. All right, so let's see here. Art, yes. 223 is meant to fragment. Yeah, and there are rounds that obviously will do that better or worse, such as like bonded rounds, things like that, that are actually meant to be more barrier blind. So, all right. Your analogy was if you have a small pebble and throw it as hard as possible, see how far, and then take a baseball. Yeah, exactly. Yep, and it's all about mass, right? Energy and mass. And then compare the ripple of each, and you can see. Yep. Absolutely. So velocity, and like what I used to use as an analogy, I 100% agree with this, is basically cars, right? If I had a motorcycle traveling super, super fast, but a lightweight motorcycle going super fast and it hits a building, there's probably going to be more damage to the motorcycle than the building, right? But if I have a big, heavy 1-ton pickup truck going slow at a steady speed, hit that building, there's probably going to be more damage to that building versus the motorcycle. So again, it's all about mass, velocity, energy transfer, nerd stuff that is sometimes a little bit beyond my lane, so I don't like to speak too far out of that. All right, other comments that we have going in. It looks like we are all caught up. DeGraw, Happy New Year. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Ike, good to have you here. Appreciate that. And DeGraw, what new items are you looking forward to seeing come out at SHOT this year? Obviously, handgun optics. I always love seeing what's new in that market. There will be some new stuff. Hopefully that's announced from some companies that you know of. You know, like there's one really big company that's due for an update. And I'm hopeful they're going to come out with that at SHOT. As far as pistols, obviously you guys know that I love 1911 double stacks, 2011s, etc. So I'm hoping there'll be some new stuff in that regard. Well, I know there will be some. It's just what I can't really talk about yet. And then I'm hoping there will be some stuff I don't know about that will be kind of the buzz as we kind of lead up to SHOT. Which obviously, with SHOT being like 3rd week of January, usually I start to get some insider info after the first of the year. to scoop up press releases and have stuff prepped and ready. But I'm hoping to go to the Staccato range day on Monday, and I'm hoping they'll have some new stuff out for there to shoot. It'll be a good networking opportunity. And as far as rifles, I guess I'm gotta just wait and see. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not into ARs anymore. I'm definitely into ARs. Love ARs, but there's only so much new stuff, right? That it takes a lot to excite me in the AR space. Um, so I'm not sure what'll come up with the AR space, but we'll see. As far as other optics, I love LPVOs. I love MPVOs. So if we can see some more quality, low power and medium power optics, that'd be great. New light technology would be good. And then honestly, some of the stuff that I really look forward to the most is like little accessories, like from really cool companies like Emissary Group, like new grip accessories or new attachments for a light or, a new light from Cloud or some of that kind of stuff. I really like a lot of that. So sometimes it's the small stuff that does well as far as like the innovation of like a cool part or a cool way to look at an interface on something or a new flashlight head or whatever, because those are always evolving and on evolution, evolving. Man, it's one of those days. Evolving technology areas. So as far as those things that shot, I would look forward to seeing those. And that's the other part, is that you just never know all the cool stuff you're going to get to see. It could be digital night vision. I think that's going to be a trend to really keep our eye on, as well as thermal stuff. And hopefully we have more of that Holosun thermal stuff evolve and continue to be available as well. So that's going to be pretty fun as well. All right. What else is shot? Would I love to see? I don't know. It's just whatever's new and cool, All right, Mach what 11. When are you going to do a team event with me in the tactical games? I got to drop some pounds, my man. But yes, I would love to do attack games. Actually, I really even want to do a two-gun. I think it's called the PCSL. Is that what it's called? The two-gun matches I think would be kind of cool. But yeah, I would like to do that. And I think that'd be a fun event. I think there's some down in Kansas coming to that. Speaking of lanes, does any of the brutality matches interest you? The Finnish brutality seemed very impressive this year, but then there's desert, which is much more local. Yeah, I mean, all of those matches, like back in the day, the three-gun match to go to was Ironman, and I never got to go logistically and everything else. But like some of those grueling matches, definitely you feel a sense of accomplishment just even finishing the match, right? Let alone doing well. But some of the brutality matches I think would be a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie, I definitely got some pounds to lose that I'm trying to shave off still from COVID pounds, which I know is not a good excuse, but I would love to be a little more active to do some of these tactical stuff and go from there. I mean, the shooting is one part, but being able to stay healthy and do all that is definitely something that's underappreciated, right? All right, Staccato E. What's up, Dave? I finally made it to alive. Well, welcome. What does E stand for? Leave a comment. Maybe it's Eric. I knew it. I guessed. All right. I think bufferless AR trend. Oh yeah. How did I forget about that? Even at I was at a industry show in October, and there was some bufferless ARs that were shown that will come out at SHOT Show. And I agree, that is going to be the one thing. Now, Foxtrot Mike is doing a few. They OEM for a bunch of people, and they have their own designs. And obviously, there's the common designs out there, like the Brownells version and the Foxtrot Mikes, and the CMMG has their new one come out that actually takes AK mags and 7.62x39 that's bufferless. And then obviously we have like the SIG MCX that's bufferless. So yes, I do agree that the bufferless AR is the way it's going. You're totally spot on, Art. And I think we are going to see more of that at SHOT. We're definitely going to see some bufferless stuff. And now with braces being back, I really hope that is going to start to swing back. And we can start to see pistol sales pick up again, and people can get braces if they want them, or they can go down the SBR route and put a stock on there too, because I like SBRs, but I realize they're not for everybody, and there's certain states that you can't have them, as I am learning with Kevin posting about Illinois. So I definitely think there's some truth to that. PCSL is gaining steam. They have some classifiers. Yeah, for sure. So I'd like to definitely try a PCSL match. And the founder of that actually shoots a Voodoo Priest as well, which I just shot my Voodoo Priest review video. I got to get that edited and uploaded. I'm going to try to be making more content, so I can keep some stuff going. But Yeah, the PCSL looks like a lot of fun, and what I like about it is it's stuff like it's gear that everybody has, whereas I think what I don't wanna say was causing 3-gun to depreciate, but 3-gun definitely became an arms race, and it definitely became a shotgun arms race over who could reload the shotgun the quickest. Like, you could be a great pistol shooter and make up some time. You could be a great rifle shooter and do well at precision. But overall, if your shotgun suffered, it was really hard to be competitive in 3-gun. And then it became who can quad load or who can twin load the fastest. If I'm really dating myself, and then who can quad load the fastest. So yeah, all right, let's see. What are your thoughts on the Platypus versus the Oracle Arms 2311? So I've only had limited range time with the Oracle, and that was at TriggerCon. I love the Platypus. I have that, and Dustin, I think he's here in the comments. Dustin can attest to how well that damn thing shoots. Like, that thing is a freaking laser beam. Lockup is super tight. I just filmed the review on that. I got to get that edited as well. Platypus is a gun that punches above its price point. It is just a good quality gun. That they're doing a lot of things that are really good in the industry right now. So I love the Platypus. I'm very impressed with that, especially for the money. Now, how it compares to the Oracle. Obviously, the Oracle takes your 320 mags, and I think what is really going to be a big selling point for the Oracle, number one, people that have the 320 and they're looking to expand and they don't want to buy a bunch of new magazines, similar to the appeal of the Platypus for people who have a Glock. But the Oracle is ambi, slide stop, mag. That's pretty awesome. Okay. Now I know there's other 1911 companies working on that, but it's really tough to argue with that. Now I'm hoping to get my hands on a production sample of the 2311. Sometimes guns can shoot a little different versus pre-production, production, show samples, whatever. So I really want to see a production sample gun that I can actually run some rounds through. And I honestly, I don't know what happened. I met with those guys at SHOT Show. I met with them, past that, and they were like, "Hey, we're going to get you a sample to check out." And I don't know if I've fallen out of flavor with them, or if they had other people work out, or what happened. I don't know, because I was supposed to get a media T&E gun and I haven't, so I still got to follow up with them. Uh, but I'd like to shoot. I'd like to shoot at least a couple of thousand rounds through the Oracle and really kind of check it out, because the Platypus has really impressed me. We have a solid 2,500, if not more, rounds than that, and everybody that shot it at the class it was pretty pleased with it. Here's a quick comment from Dustin. Crazy good shooter, eats Glock mags. Exactly. Like, it worked really well. All right. So, oh my goodness, Nick, dude, look at you, man. Yeah, I missed the flat top videos as well. For those of you guys that don't know, during COVID, I joked and I started making these live streams on my personal page, and I would call it Corona Cookout. And then I started a Facebook page called Fiddle with the Griddle, and we were doing live streams on flat top cooking during COVID because everything was shut down. So every Wednesday at noon, I would go and make lunch for maybe a friend or something like that, and we would do a live stream. And it was a good way to connect. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. So it was fun. I wouldn't mind doing a cooking channel. I actually have a handle and a name reserved on YouTube that if I ever needed to. So I might do some cooking videos. Maybe I could have you on as a guest, Nick, because Nick is like literally, I know you call yourself the home chef, but you're a legit cook chef, man. Like, the posts and the photos that you make of your food, it looks mouth-watering delicious. I wish you would post recipes more often. So Nick's a good dude. Nick and I actually grew up together in my hometown and down in the cities. We I think have known each other since kindergarten. Kindergarten or first grade was right around there, I believe. But all through elementary and then high school and everything, we managed to stay in touch. So cheers to you, Nick. Thanks for joining me, man. All right. From Mid-Michigan Defense, I still do carry a G43 sometimes in the Tier 1. Right now, I'm actually carrying a Staccato CS in a more discreet from QVO, but I do still have the Tier 1 as well. As far as the EDC belt, right now I'm using a Next belt. However, I was also using a Tenacor belt, which I borrowed to somebody. I can't remember who I borrowed it to, and I would love to get it back because that EDC belt from Tenacor was pretty nice. Give me 1 second, dudes. Joy's getting a cold. I don't know. Hopefully, you guys can't hear it in the mic because like I can hear it in my head where I start to get congested, and I don't want to be that guy who's like, "Hey, everybody, we're talking about this," and I just sound like crap. So, anyways, the joys, the joys. Yes, and Trevor was about for those cookouts. It was nice being close so you could show up and eat. Absolutely. Now, DeGraw, Stealth has a platypus that takes Sigmags. It's a prototype and might be released in 2024. Now, I do have a good working relationship with Stealth Arms, so I am not able to confirm nor deny. However, I will say there probably will be other stuff you would see before that he's working on that I'm really excited about. I don't, man. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. I feel comfortable with saying that, but I don't feel comfortable saying anything more. And if anybody else posts, I will. There's a couple guys I work with here that I might know a little bit too, so please don't post. But Stealth is coming out with some cool stuff. And what I really like about Stealth is that he's committed to being innovative, quality, have it your way. Oh, man, I can't say that. Having it your configuration, that's not trademarked, and we can kind of get it however people want. So that's what's really cool. All right, I kind of prefer the look of the Oracle. Yeah, I get it. And I do got to say, 320 megs are effective, but I mean it's hard to argue with the Glock magazine as far as compatibility and reliability. So I get it. The Oracle definitely looks a little bit more futuristic, a little bit more sexy. I get it, whereas the platypus is a little bit more utilitarian, right? And I'll tell you this, like I'll give you guys a little sneak peek. And I talked about this in the review a little bit. And I told Tim, the owner of Stealth, this. I didn't go into shooting the Stealth. I didn't want to dislike it. Like I didn't have it out for it. And I didn't want to be like, oh, I'm going to, I knew it. A crappy gun. But I was a little soured because there are guns under that 2K mark that just don't run, that are junk. And we have a gun that's new to the market that takes Glock magazines that's under $2,000. Like the recipe for super high quality and reliability, it has some obstacles, right? But I like that gun a lot. I really, really like it. And it impressed me way more than I thought it would. The quality that they're doing, the cut that they have, the barrel fit, machining, Marvel cut, all of it is really, really good for a sub 2K gun. And plus, I know we probably haven't said this yet, it takes super reliable, cheap, available Glock pattern magazines. So they've really done something. It's probably tied for my favorite pistol of 2023. So yeah, maybe we'll do another live stream. Well, it's already the end of maybe I'll talk about that today. I don't know. I'm not into like the Dave's top 5 picks because I haven't been able to do as much content this year to really have that, but maybe that's something I need to look into. Sean asks, do you reload ammo for anything? No, the only thing I reload is magazines, as Dustin would say. I have nothing against reloaders. However, I don't have the time. Just for me to sort brass, to clean it, to prep it, all that stuff, I just don't have the time. And then I'm very thankful to have an ammo sponsor, which, speaking of which, is Global Ordnance. If you are looking for high quality ammunition in all the popular calibers, in all the popular bullet weights, brands, all sorts of stuff at a value price, then check out Global. Global treats me really good. They supply all my ammo that I need to make content, which is huge. It's like my number one biggest expense. So check out Global. There you go. Global. And if you use code GT Ammo, I'll put a link when the show goes on YouTube and stuff. I'll put a link to the website with coupon codes and all that. But if you use code GT Ammo, you get free shipping on all orders over 200. So even if you buy it by the case, if you buy multiple cases, if you buy a plethora of cases, it's going to be free shipping on orders over 200 with code GT Ammo. That's thanks to Global Ordnance. So that's why, thankfully, I don't need to reload. But Global Ordnance. All right, that's my commercial for Global. All right. Highly recommend the belt from Hunter. I would love to check that belt out. It looks like it's really good. And Hunter obviously knows his stuff. That dude's wicked fast. He's like, you blink, and he's already drawn and dominated. I think he has 4 black belt patches now from Jedi. The guy's just a beast. I would love to shoot with Hunter. I would have a lot to learn from him. I think he'd be a badass dude to shoot with. From Bryce. Bryce, good to see you, man. I haven't seen you in a long time. And Reloader, thanks for the video. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, stop on by. I need my pistol to be high-speed tactical because I'm a high-drag, low-speed shooter. Come on now, Art. That's not true. I've seen some pictures of you, man. You look pretty high-speed, low-drag. So don't cheat yourself. We had an old saying back in the day when I was on a shooting team. We got these cool jerseys made. We had cool gear. We had, all the stuff to make us look good. And the saying was, if you can't shoot good, you have to look good. And there was a little bit of truth to that from like a marketing perspective or whatever. But it was, yeah. Oh my gosh, you were right. I am talking about Hunter Freeland. He is the MSP guy. Hunter Constantine is a different dude, man. Yes. Boom. Thank you for correcting me. I appreciate it. Hunter Constantine is a grandmaster. Anyways, he's a good shooter too. I'd like to shoot with everybody. If you're a fast shooter and your name is Hunter, let's just hang out and shoot. How's that? Did I save myself a little bit there? This is the joys of live, right? You just can't go back on live stuff. But yeah, super good dudes all the way around. Sorry I messed that up. Another quick thing. Where was I going? Anyways, I posted a reel yesterday, and Trevor, you would remember this when we hung up all the studio lights. Trevor is a near dear friend of me, old friend, and he actually was here since day one. I moved into this place. We became friends, and he helped me build my studio, which was over there, and then we kind of moved it over here. But the light, that first fluorescent light fixture that I bought, finally decided to die. So if you guys notice, the lights I'm not quite as warm or full with light. There's a little bit more shadow. Oh, geez, didn't mean to bump the mic. There's a little bit more shadow. It's because my main light finally died. And I've been talking about upgrading to LEDs for a while. I think it's time. Well, now it's especially time because I had a light die. So I don't think it looks bad. And honestly, most people aren't going to notice. But for me, it's like one of those things where I like the photo image to look good. So that's me. But I'll be upgrading light fixtures. And now it's a good time. I did just have a video job wrap up this, so I have a little extra pocket cash for that. So I'll try to make the studio look good for you. I don't know if I'm going to redo it to the point where I add like colored lights in the background like some people have. But I definitely miss having the big patch wall in the background. This is where the mill will live, and I can't move that. It's too big and heavy, and I don't have another spot for it. And logistically, it just made sense for me to move the studio over here so I have more shop space over there. It just makes my daily quality of life so much better. But I will say I don't like the look as much, but some people don't seem to care. So it is what it is. The only issue I have with the platypus is when I'm using Terran +5s. Yeah. So the little button, that's one thing I noticed with the Magwell as well is my Arredondos. I had to take a little bit of material off here to get the Arredondos to work. Otherwise, the Zevs worked okay, and there was one other one that worked okay. Otherwise, yeah, I did notice there is some compatibility with the Magwell. So some guys are reporting with the Terran, or I believe it's the Dawson. I think the Dawsons work, but the Terran, they had to remove a little bit of material off that back button. So, but that's an issue with a variety of Magwells, not just the Platypus. I've had that on Glock Magwells as well, where they say like only compatible with these base pads, that kind of thing. The other mags that I really wanted to try with the Platypus were the MBX metal Glock magazines because it does have a metal mag catch. So I always thought about using those tubes. Yeah, is what it is. But honestly, I have a plethora of plastic fantastic magazines that I just use these. But I don't know. I was looking at the MBX ones. Does anybody here? I know we don't have a ton of viewers right now, but has anybody used those MBX metal Glock mags? I mean, they're stupid expensive. That's why I haven't bought them, is because like I get it in the 2011 world, magazines are expensive, but on Glock, like one of the big draws is cheap $20-ish magazines, right? And I know I'm dating myself, but I remember when you used to be able to find used 9mm 17-round Glock mags at the police store, like trade-in bags, and they'd be in a big bucket, $10 each. And I would hoard those things like it was going out of style. But anyways, those are the good old days. Have I had a chance to check out a production RCR yet? So kind of. And I'm not saying I wasn't impressed. However, because I don't want to seem like it's bad. It does have a noticeable magnification and distortion more so than the other ones. Because mine is a pre-production sample, so I've played with production sample at a show. I'm due to get one here, a production one, and hopefully it'll be a little different. Now, I will give it some grace because mine was a destructive sample, pre-production sample that Trijicon had that they did a bunch of destructive testings with. So it was beat to snot. So could the glass have gotten a little kittywampus? Is that the right word? I don't know. It could be. I like the durability of the RCR. I like how it mounts. I like all of that. But for me, it had a little bit more magnification and distortion than I would like. So that's kind of the draw of a closed emitter versus open emitter debate, is that you're going to get less of that with that open emitter because it's less glass. So, yeah, I kind of go back and forth. But I really want to check out a production one and see, because I do think closed emitter has its benefits for durability and everything else. But I don't know. Like, it's still hard to beat some of the good quality closed emitter stuff on the market. Like, there's some really, really good stuff. So, good question. I'm hoping to find out. But I honestly love the RMR HD. That's some pretty awesome too. Let's see here. And thanks again for lunch, man. That was awesome hanging out. All right, it's time. I think you should try one of the cheap, super bright garage lights in the same diffuser. That's not a bad idea. Huh. So I was actually looking at like a mono light, and I'd have to get a new softbox and all that other crap, but it's always something, right? It's always something. And I'm really good at spending money. All right, what are your thoughts on the Springfield Armory Hellcat Pro? I have not shot one yet. I've played with them. I'll be upfront with you. Springfield is not a big fan of mine right now. I put my honest reviews of the Prodigy out, and I'm not saying I've been blacklisted by Springfield, but definitely I'm not getting a Christmas card from them, and I am not getting really any correspondence. And I even tried, like, I give them credit. So after I got my Prodigy, that was a retail sample. I got to buy it early, so I bought it, did my review. It sucked. Posted the review showing all the stoppages. Posted a follow-up video showing what I had to do to fix it to get it to run. And then Springfield reached out and said, hey, we don't, like that you had this experience. We'd like to send you another gun to check out. Would you check it out? They sent it. Perfect. I appreciate that. I'm always willing to give people a second chance. Okay. And I know that their warranty would have taken care of it, right? I get that. But they get the second Prodigy to me, and the thing chokes as well on like 115 grain ammo. So I sent a video and I was like, this gun is choking just as bad. No thanks. And then from there, it's been radio silent. So I don't think I'm going to be able to reach out and get any media samples or anything. I could definitely buy one, but I don't have enough of an inclination to go buy one right now. I am so far behind on other stuff. But do I think they're quality little pistols? I do. In fact, Trevor might even have one. Trevor is in the comments here. I thought he had a Hellcat, and he was actually looking to get rid of it. So maybe I could hook up you guys together if you wanted to check it out. But the Hellcat, the 365, the 43X, those are all really popular carry guns. And I don't think you just have to pick the one that's most comfortable for you. But like even the Echelon, the Springfield Echelon, I want to give that gun credit because it looks like a really cool duty style polymer gun. And I would love to shoot one and get some hands on it, but I'll probably try to pick one up here in the near future. But I don't think it's a bad gun at all. So the Hellcat or the Echelon. So does the Platypus have a 1911? Yes, it does have a 1911 grip angle. Even though it takes Glock mags, and everybody made fun of me. That was arguably one of my most popular videos this year, was my Platypus video. And everybody under the sun made fun of me for how I said mags. Evidently, I said it a whole bunch with my weird Minnesota accent. But yes, 1911 grip angle. It's just a little bit more squared on the front than like a 2011 or a 1911 double stack. And I compared that. I talked about that in the review. Here's just a grip. Facebook and YouTube. This is just a part. It's just a grip. It's not anything real, I promise. But I compared the grip angles. So got to be careful. I don't want to get the bots after me here, okay? Jeff, I just saw that AIM Surplus has some available under the trade-in page. Has some Glock mags or what? I didn't see what it was. All right, your thoughts on the bullpup. I'm not a huge bullpup fan, just in general. I would love to shoot one and check one out, but every time I shoot one, it's just this crappy trigger, the linkage or whatever. So I have not shot one. I'll try to check one out at a range day, and I'll be open-minded. Because there are, like, bullpups are starting to be a little bit more of those. You have the IWIs, you have the Springfield, and there's who else makes one that just came out too? It's escaping me right now. But yeah, I would be okay to check that out. Oh, this is a good one. This is from Vic. What trend needs to go away or change in 2024? Oh man, I think ooh, this is you got to got me stumped here for a sec. Okay, so I think one trend that doesn't need to go away or change, but just the resistance to red dots on pistols by the mainstream. Like the people that shoot red dots on pistols, you guys know them, you love them. You recognize that, yes, they're faster. Yes, they're more effective. Yes, it's more natural because I'm focused on one thing. You guys get all that. But still, there's a good chunk of people that look at failure rates, that look at expense, that look at all sorts of stuff that I think would be really benefited from a red dot. I get it. They're expensive, especially for a good one. But once you realize that you just look at what you're looking to shoot and you just bring the gun up and the dot's there and you present properly, they're awesome, right? So I think there needs to be less resistance from red dots on pistols, even carry pistols. Like my carry pistol has a red dot. I can't show it to you during a live stream, but all of my carry pistols have red dots. Once you go dot, you don't want to go back. So that's one trend that I hope increases a little bit. Now, as far as a trend that needs to go away or change, oh man, I don't know of a trend right now that I strongly dislike. I'll think of something, I'm sure, or maybe somebody else will post a comment. Um, this is not necessarily, and I'm guilty of saying this, so I admit right up. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Yeah, I mean, I'm guilty of saying that. Like, there's video of me saying such things, and I think that trend needs to go away because slow is just slow, and I've learned that, and I've evolved. Right, and if you're not evolving in your training, you have to ask yourself: Are you really growing? Are you really trying to better yourself? Are you really improving? So, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Yeah, I get it, but slow is still slow. Yes, I want to be smooth. Yes, I want to be fast, but if I'm fast, I'm not slow. Uh, I think it really comes down to the goal of being consciously aware of what you're not good at and a subconscious competence of proficiency, right? Like, I can nerd out over this. Like, one of the things I talk about in my instructor classes with people is like human behavior. I've been reading on that, and I think it's an area where a lot of instructors really don't spend enough time if they really want to try to master their craft. They don't spend enough time working on their communication skills or working on their understanding of human behavior. Like they so focused on how do I shoot better? Pew pew, have a good demo, have cool gear, and just focusing on trying to replicate what works for me will work for them, which might not always be the case. But to be a really, really good instructor, you need to be able to communicate and engage, which I realize is a little bit of a buzzword, but you also need to understand where people are at and where their behavior is. And, we have subconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, conscience competence, and subconscious competence, and those four categories where if you have people who are competent and they can do so subconsciously, there's a level of proficiency and effectiveness there that they can start to work on other stuff. The worst is when you don't know what you don't know. Like you don't know how bad you are, and you are incompetent at that subconscious level, and you're not even aware of how bad. That's where instructors, I think, need to be aware of it too. So that trend of like the slow is smooth, and we need to get back to working on people, I think, is something that I'd like to change. Man, I've kind of went off the rails on this. I feel like I got distracted a little bit. So Vic, if you have some ideas or anybody else wants to hear some thoughts, let me know and we can talk from there. But really good question, man. I love the thought provocation. Oh, Jeff, this was your comment on the gram, I think, yesterday. If you could buy one AR-15 complete upper for duty and precision, what would that be? Okay, first off, Jeff, this is America, and I shouldn't have to buy just one. Dang it. I look at ARs like potato chips. Can't just have one. But I'll participate in your exercise. Let me think about it a moment. Sorry, dude. It's like seriously amateur hour over here having to clear my nose out. But uh, Okay, if I could buy one AR, I'm going to not even necessarily get brand specific right now. But here's what I would look for. I would look for a quality forged upper receiver, ideally that had an undersized barrel, the barrel receptacle. So that way the barrel would have to be thermal fit. And there's a bunch of companies that do that. JP, Bravo Company, Rainier, Sons, blah, 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 blah. But I want a quality forged upper that will require thermal fitting for the barrel. And then as far as a barrel goes, I would look at a 16-inch mid or mid plus length gas system, or an intermediate, I should say, with an adjustable gas block. And I would either go with something like a standard profile. I don't need to be super heavy because I do want that balance of like do all, right? If I'm literally only picking one. 16 gives me a lot of bang for my buck. Now, could you easily do a 13.9 or a 14.5? Yes, you could. But if I had to literally worry about the precision and like truly a just one, 16, I'd probably just go with 16, just for simplicity's sake. So it'd have an adjustable gas block, bang for the buck barrels. I would look at a Rainier match, a Rainier ultra match. If weight, if they're a little heavier with some of the ultra match stuff. JP makes really good barrels. Criterion makes really good barrels. Bartland makes really good barrels. If you can find a Bartland blank, there's a lot out there. I mean, sadly, no, it's a good thing. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a good buyer's market right now. There's a lot of good barrels that you can get that are super accurate for a good price. So I'm glad to report that finding good barrels isn't as much of a challenge anymore. But okay, and then as far as a muzzle device, I would go with something like a Knox, so I can mount my suppressors. As well as, still not worry about accuracy. Bolt carrier group, I would get a good quality bolt carrier group if you wanted to get like a mil spec style. Awesome. If you wanted to get something a little nicer, you could look at JP, either low mass or full mass. You could look at Rainier Arms Ultra Match bolt carrier. You could look at the Landtac. And those offer just better finishes and a little bit more refinements and stuff too. The Icon Defense one would be a good one as well for the evolved gas system and cam pin track, the enhancements there. So there's a lot of good options. So that's probably what I would do is a rig like that with an ambi charging handle. And that would be kind of my one upper. If I had to have one upper, like I did a video a long time ago, man, I don't even know if it was on Guns and Tactics. It might be on Old Learning Firearms still, but it was called the Sweet 16. And it had a full-length floating handguard then, a Memlock, so you could put accessories and stuff on it. But that would be, if I had to pick just one, would be like that Sweet 16. So, all right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and shake the tip jar here real quick. I do pay for hosting the podcast and all that stuff myself. So if you want to support the channel, you can do so on Patreon. Again, huge shout out to our Patreon supporters and our patrons. Or if you want to go ahead and leave a super chat, super thanks, all that stuff in the comments, it really does help because, like I said, I have to pay for hosting of the podcast software, editing stuff or whatever. So if you guys are enjoying this, there's a couple dozen or so, give or take, that have been watching it. If all of you guys would contribute $1,000, I'd have it made in the shade. So please do that. And I'm kidding. I know you're not going to do that much, but anytime you can support me, I do really appreciate it. So I'm just shaking the tip jar here, if you don't mind. All right. That was a good question. Thank you, Jeff. This one is from Art. Also, do you know the science between EOTech? Oh my gosh, it is crazy. It's voodoo witch doctor science because yes, the holographic, when you add the magnifier, I actually have one. I bought an EOTech just to use with a magnifier. I can't explain it. It has something to do with the holograph. What, I don't know. I should reach out to like an engineer at EOTech and see if they can explain why. Because when you put like a red dot, like an aim point or whatever, and you put a magnifier behind it, everything magnifies, including the dot. But for some reason, the EOTech doesn't. It stays true to size. Why? I don't know, but it's badass. So if you are running a magnifier, I think there is some benefit to running an EOTech. EOTech has its pros and cons, right? They had their issues with thermal shifting and all that back in the day, so I was kind of sour on them, but I did pick up another EOTech and I have been running it, and it's been solid. And I do like, the heads-up display and the holographic style of EOTech. So I'm not willing to throw them out or whatever. But yeah, it is crazy. I don't know the science, but it is really cool. So that's part of the reason why I bought an EOTech magnifier and holographic sight. It looks like Jeff sent a light for a bulb. I'll have to check that out. Yeah. Uh-oh. I can't post foul language on there, Tavon. I don't know why you're swearing at me. Why the hate, man? Why the hate? All right, Eric, good to have you, man. I will catch up with you later. And belly band holsters need to go. Oh, I forgot about those. I know some people who wear them when they work out and stuff, but yeah, it definitely is an interesting trend. And we have a lot of really good options for like that. Like the Enigma from Filster Holsters is really good. So there are some other options. Happy to reply, man. I appreciate you being here. All right. Don't know if this is a trend, but the pinning of the trigger. Oh my gosh, yes. Ugh, I wish that would go away. And I get why it was taught by Glock, and I get why it originated, I believe. Like Dave Spalding and I were talking about this, where it originated from was, I believe, the FBI Academy back in the day. And it was to prevent people from slapping the trigger. It was pinning it, and then you'd have to reset and then press the trigger. And it was during their transition from revolvers to semi-automatics. And so the technique, I get the why, but now that we've come back to it, now anytime I have a class, and maybe you can attest to this too, Art, I know you teach a lot, is when I see people do that, sometimes we tend to over stop and pin the trigger. So like if I want to stop and pin it, I don't necessarily stop at the 100 mark. They might crush it and go past to where they're putting like 110, 115, and then they're causing those rounds to move, right? Then they reset, click, reset, click, and they're trying to be precise. However, when you put them under speed and you ask them like, hey, why do you reset the trigger? Oh, it's because this. Do you always do it? I always do it. But yet when you get the timer out and the slow-mo camera on your iPhone and you have them do a bill drill, they're slapping the trigger. Okay. And here's the deal. Rob Latham has said it. He's one of the arguably the best handgun shooters of all time. I agree with it. I say it, and as do many others. I'm not saying this is Dave's original, but if you want to shoot fast, you have to learn how to slap the trigger. And I'm not saying like, oh, just be all loose, whatever, but you have to learn how to press that trigger fast. And there is a very common technique, and a lot of people do it. A lot of really good shooters do it, especially when they're under time, is they over reset the trigger. So they break, and then they come off, and they break, and they come off, and they break, and they come off, because they are making sure they don't short stroke their trigger, if you will. So over resetting the trigger is a real thing, especially when you want to go fast. And the biggest thing is you have to have a solid grip and presentation, so that way when you have that sight picture and you are pressing that trigger fast, you're slapping it, you're pressing it, you're over resetting, whatever it is, that it's not disrupting the sight picture when you press the trigger. Jedi talks a lot about that too in his classes. AJ does. There's a lot of good handgun instructors out there that advocate for that. I'm one of them as well. So I 100% agree that that should go away, is yes. Pinning and resetting the trigger. Absolutely. All right, we're coming up on 1 o'clock. Let me check in. I know, Kevin, you sent out a lot of email questions. I'm not going to be able to get to them all, but let me just highlight and see if there's a couple other we'd want to talk about quick. Let's see here. I'm not familiar with that. As a red dot instructor, does the anti-red optical filter, blue tint, or the notch filter have any legitimate bad effect in real-world use? Not really. I don't think so. Some of it's a little more noticeable, so if you want to be nitpicky or whatever, but I don't think so. And experiences with the all-metal shield, and I have not played out with the PSA overmolded mag, so I'm not sure about those. But I have had a couple shields crack. I like the shields. I still carry them, but you have to keep an eye on them. Logical way to defend one, manual of arms. What are some logical ways? Yeah, I guess I'm not sure exactly what the context is, but obviously you have to do what works for you. When it comes to the high dollar executive level gun classes for multimillionaires, what is really taught differently? I don't know. If you know a multimillionaire who wants to spend a lot of money and have them hire me, well, then let's talk about it. But truth be told, I don't know. You know what I would do? If a multimillionaire executive level gun class hired me, I would make sure that I catered one baller meal, right? Like I would have a red carpet spread, like maybe not lobster, because I don't know if seafood would really be good at the range, but I would have like legit gourmet steak Wagyu sandwiches, or, you know, like elite level salads and sparkling beverages, and roll out the red carpet. That's what I would do. But as far as the other stuff, I don't know. I would just do what I do, right? All right. This one is from Kenneth. Kenneth wants to know. Oh, where's your question? Okay. I'm enjoying your YouTube, blah, 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 blah. Considering making the switch from Glock to staccato for duty, they offered aluminum or steel. What should I get? Steel. For duty use, I would get a steel staccato P. Aluminum is great, and that's what's in like the CS, the C2, because it's a little lighter weight. But if you go to a class and you're really running that gun hard, that aluminum will start to swell a little bit, and it will start to make that gun run a little tighter and a little more sluggish. And you can feel it after a few hundred rounds. So the weight difference in a duty gun P is not that big of a deal where you're going to notice it. And then what's nice is that steel frame, steel slide, everything's going to run smooth. So for the P, I would always get the steel frame every time, every day of the week, twice on Sunday. All right, Kevin, how did I get into firearms? One more from Kevin here, and then we'll go back to some comments. I got into firearms as a kid. I was just always interested in things, I guess you could say. I thought it was kind of neat. And then when I was in the Cub Scouts as a kid, at scout camp, we got to shoot, which was cool. And my parents were a part of a gun club. They were just wanted to get into that hobby. And that gun club had an NRA juniors small bore program that I got to shoot, my brother and I. So every week we got to go to the range. And that's how I started to get into guns. And I had some really cool mentors really early on, our instructors, our coaches. And they really encouraged us to shoot safely and shoot better, but they kind of really gave me that spark of that interest. And then I think part of it was just the fascination with the machine aspect of it, of like how these complex machines work. Like I remember as a kid thinking, man, how cool is this? And it doesn't even need batteries, like for whatever reason as a kid, there were so many electronic toys that needed batteries and everything else. And I was just thinking, man, this doesn't even need batteries. But then you kind of realize, well, it needs ammo and that costs money. So there's always that, but it's kind of funny the things you remember as you reflect back. And what's even kind of weird, I know I'm distracting a little bit, but I'm seeing my kids now experience things that I experienced as a kid, and I remember that, and I remember like my perspective at the time, and I kind of wonder, man, are they perceiving me that way that I perceived my dad? Like, oh, it's kind of crazy how it all loops around. But I got into it as a kid, and I was very fortunate that my parents allowed me to do different things and go to the gun club and shoot with people. And we had really cool members that let me try a variety of stuff. Like I remember at a rifle match, and I was shooting the junior part, but then the grown-ups were all shooting centerfire rigs. There was an AR-15 there at a service rifle match. And I asked him, I was like, hey, what does this thing do? It was the forward assist. I didn't understand what that part was. And he showed me how it worked. And he's like, well, do you want to shoot it? So sure enough, at break, he let me shoot his 20-inch Colt H-bar Sporter that he was shooting for service rifle. And I remember it was cool. They even had somebody in the pit that would spot their hits for me. And it was just really cool memories like that. And then I got into handguns and I got into all sorts of stuff and the machining and the armor side, the maintenance side. And that's how I got into guns. So yeah, I don't know, man, crazy to think about. Right. All right. And Croak, you made it. Appreciate you being here. And the Inception. Did I miss a movie or did I misquote something? I don't know. I was getting distracted. So if I said something wrong, doesn't surprise me because my brain today is not going good. All right, dudes. I got to give another shout out to Global Ordnance. Seriously, could not do it without their help. Global is absolutely vital to making the channel go around. They supply all of our ammo. They have good quality ammo, the brands you know and trust, plus a lot of the stuff that they're importing is very high quality, high value, and high performance ammo, and it won't break the bank either. I mean, seriously, those of you guys that know me, who would have thought that Dave would be shooting steel-cased ammo? But the Sterling steel that I've been using, it shoots awesome. It's readily available. It's good priced. It's steel, so I don't have to worry about leaving it at the range and, not have to worry about my brass pickup and all that. And it's awesome. And plus, if you use code GTAMMO, and I'll put links and all that in the description, any order over 200, you're going to get free shipping. That's right. Order by the case, order by the pallet, order by the truckload. Over 200, free shipping from our friends at Global Ordnance. Really appreciate them. Love those guys. They do awesome work. They have awesome ammo. Global Ordnance, think of them, please, for your ammo. Let them know that you heard about it from me because I do appreciate their support. I couldn't do it without them. All right, we're coming up on about that 1 o'clock. I wanted to make sure that I got to as many questions as I could from Kevin. I know I didn't get to them all. And Kevin, you had one about like gunsmithing tools. I would love to revisit that tool series again and go from there. So one more here. This one is from Ben. This is an email question. Little background. I currently own 3 rifles. What's your question? Okay. What are your thoughts on pairing a Voodoo 1-10 or a Razor 1-6 for that Daniel offense? Either one would be an awesome option, man. They really, really do well. Thank you for love to have a situation. Hear your thoughts. Yeah. So I honestly, the 1 to 10, I did a review on it. It's a great scope. The Voodoo 1 to 10 was nice. The Razor 1 to 6, it does have a little bit of advantages. I think the dot's a little bit brighter. You'll get a little bit more field of view and a little bit more forgiving of a exit pupil or an eye box as you get to the higher magnification. But the price is going to be different. But for 500 to 300 meters, like you're kind of looking at, either one will be a good option. 10, you just get a little bit more magnification. But if you already have a Razor 1 to 6 and you're able to find one at a better price, you're not gonna be under opticized, under visioned. I don't know, under magnified, under qualityed, whatever. Sorry, I'm just rambling, right? And then I got a bunch of spam in there. I think that's about it, dudes. Yeah, and then here's one, Kevin, I did want to get to before the end of the day. Let's see here. What are some things as an instructor you can do to make it okay for students to try but fail as a part of the learning process? Obviously, safety must be good, and that's a separate topic addressed by a smart course design. And then many times instructors are dumb and wrong. What can students do to change the tone of a class leading from below? But let's talk about that first one. It's okay to fail at a class. And what I mean by that is that you have to be safe. Obviously, you have to be accountable for all your rounds. But a lot of classes that I go to and the ones that I teach, we have standards. And those standards have an accuracy standard and a time standard. And in order to meet those standards, you have to perform. Sometimes on demand, cold, whatever. Like we might do it the first drill of the day. Boom, we run a 5x5, or boom, so-and-so runs his drill, or boom, so-and-so runs that drill. And it's okay to not make time or your accuracy, because then you know what you need to work on. Or it's okay to give it your best and say, all right, I'm just going to push it. I know I've always been a half second behind, so I'm going to push it. I'm going to go really fast and see if I can make it. And then you have to figure out where the wheels fall off. Now, some people have always said, we're talking about trends and stuff, and I've been guilty of this method as well, to where, okay, let's say I missed my time by a half second. So I'm just going to shoot really good at slow, and then I'll try to speed up. But in fact, when I talk to a lot of grandmaster shooters, they say I shoot fast and I shoot sloppy, and I keep shooting fast until I figure out how to shoot fast and not sloppy. So keep the speed, gas to full throttle, right? Go as fast as I need to make that time standard, and then work on my technique to bring the accuracy back in. But then I'm not trying to have to catch up on the speed. And I think there's some merit to that philosophy. And once I started having a different approach to that, it kind of made me think that, okay, if I know I'm going to have to go this fast, if I shoot slow, it's going to be really hard for me to catch up on speed. But if I shoot fast and then I keep shooting better and better and better, but I was always that fast, and then better and better, eventually I'm going to shoot fast and better. And that's what I need to do. So there's definitely some thought process to that is worth considering. So there's a lot to take in there. So that I think it's okay to fail in that regard. And I think it's okay to tell people. And I tell people that too. Like even in my red dot instructor class, the average fail rate was around 40%. Because when it came time to perform and do the qual, and it's not an impossible qual, a lot of people do it. A lot of people do it just fine, and they do their remake. But I don't just give out certificates just to give out certificates. You have to earn it. And that's one thing that maybe makes my classes not as popular. I don't know. But I tell people, you have to earn it. Okay. If you're going to be an instructor, you have to walk the walk and talk the talk. That's kind of my thoughts. All right, guys, I think we're probably going to wrap this up. Oh, look at that. We're up to our all-time high. We're almost at 30 viewers. So thank you guys very much for checking in. If anybody wants to post a comment quick and I can answer your questions before we go, I'd love to. But we're a little over the hour, and I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Trevor, cheers. Happy New Year. Catch you next time. Yeah. And I'd love to do another winter side-by-side ride. That would be a lot of fun. And as somebody that gave up on LPVOs, the new PA 1-6. Yeah, Primary makes some really good stuff. All right. I think we're caught up. Anybody else? Last call for comments. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and throw the rules up if you want to review those quick, and then we'll pick a random comment, and then we'll give away our prize. And again, our prize is thanks to Global Ordnance. Can't thank them enough for their support of the channel. Here's the rules here real quick. All right, got the rules out of the way, and of course had to sneak away and deal with my cold, so I apologize. The joys of being sick. Ugh. Happy New Year to you too, Croak. Appreciate you stopping by. All right, guys, we're going to select our winner. We're going to select a random comment. Mid-Michigan Guns. Mid-Michigan Defense, excuse me. Mid-Michigan Defense, if you can do me a favor and send me an email. That email address is going to be shown on the screen here in just a moment. But Mid-Michigan Defense, send me an email with your shipping address, and we're going to get a prize out to you, courtesy of our friends at Global Ordnance. If you guys can't make the show live, the best way to get your question on the show is to email us. That email address is theqa@gunsandtactics.com. We appreciate all of the support by everybody. Appreciate all the likes. And if you guys want to support it, please check us out on Patreon, or you can go ahead and leave a super chat or super thanks. You can get this episode on YouTube and Facebook Live, or you can get it wherever you get your podcasts. Search for Guns and Tactics. Check us out online at gunsandtactics.com. Thank you guys very much for watching, and have a great day. And Happy New Year, everybody. Looking forward to catching you guys in the next one. All right, let me wrap this up, and we will call it, and we'll go from there. Art, shoot me your address. I got some extra prizes I can check out for you. So shoot me your address. I'll make sure we get you taken care of. All right. Take care, guys.